So what is stressing you out today? If you're like me, it does not take much to feel stressed out. Even the smallest of situations can induce a level of stress in me that does not match the situation at all. For instance, I'm kind of a joker. I joke all the time. I probably joke at a really annoying level for the people around me. But every so often I'll make a joke and I'll think back to the joke that I made and then I overanalyze it. Like for instance, this happened recently where I was in a group of people and I was joking around and one of my friends that I made kind of an innocent joke about, I hadn't heard from for a couple of days, and I started overanalyzing the situation and thinking about what I had said and wondered if maybe I had offended this person or if I crossed the line some way. And I began to feel this dread and worry inside of me. And really, I carried this stress in me for multiple days before I finally called this person and said, "Hey, listen, I got to apologize to you." Well, the person that I was talking to didn't even remember that I had ever made a joke. And in fact, if I hadn't brought it up, they hadn't thought 2 seconds about it. And so it turns out I carried this stress for multiple days for nothing. I was reading this poll that was done. It was done in January at State College. So January of this year, just a few months ago. This is before the shutdown and everything. And what the poll was the top 5 things that stress people out the most. And I was really interested by what it said because the number one thing that stressed people out the most, according to this poll, was going to the doctor. Going to the doctor, I don't feel stressed when I go to the doctor. Maybe you do, but going to the doctor was a really interesting thing. And all the things that can stress us out, the number one thing, according to this poll, was going to the doctor. The number 2 thing was holiday shopping, which makes sense because the poll was done in January, right after Christmas. But people feel stressed about buying gifts for other people. Isn't that interesting? And then the third thing was going to the dentist. So the top 3, you have going to the doctor, buying gifts for people, and going to the dentist listed as the top 3 things that stress people out the most. Number 4, I can understand a little bit more. Number 4 was family events. So weddings and having a baby, those are catalyst moments in our lives that can sometimes be stressful on us. And the number 5 was credit card debt, right? Money is always a stressor for us. But I was really interested that ahead of money, ahead of family events, were these 3 things that are really just sort of like normal everyday things that happen that stress people out. I mean, maybe you can identify with this a little bit, that it's everyday things that stress us out. This is kind of this level of stress is kind of the setting for our scripture in John chapter 14. And of course, the disciples had a lot of reasons to feel a high level of stress at this point. In John chapter 14, this is right after the Last Supper, and the crowd in Jerusalem has turned. They've changed in their approach to Jesus and are starting to approach him with anger instead of praise. And Jesus is starting to let the disciples know what's about to happen to him as he gets arrested and things like that. He's saying to them that he's about to leave them. And then he's saying things that don't make sense. And they're asking him questions like, "Jesus, how can we follow you if we don't know the way?" And they're trying to understand some of the things that Jesus is saying. And so as you read the chapter, the level of stress in the disciples as they're launching questions at Jesus is incredibly evident. And then Jesus says this. In this crucial verse, in verse 27 of chapter 14, he says this to his disciples, his companions, his friends. He says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Don't let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." So I'll ask again, what is stressing you out today? Maybe what's stressing you out is kind of like an everyday thing. The level of stress you're carrying doesn't match the situations. Maybe it's something bigger. Maybe there's a catalyst event happening in your life that's causing an amount of stress. Man, I want to remind you this morning of Jesus' promise that he wants to give you his peace. Now, for you to receive his peace has to be an actual acceptance of that. Jesus doesn't want to give you just any peace. He wants to give you his peace. So as you balance all that life has to throw at you, be reminded today and receive that peace in your life. and give him praise.